Hi everyone, welcome back to our channel ADC Aspirants. I'm Dr. Henna, and today is going to be an extra special interview today. The last interview we had was such a big hit that I decided to do this once more and with somebody who's very, very special. I've known him for a brief amount of time period, but whatever time I've known him for, it's been an amazing, communication so far. So today we have Dr. Ahmed Mostafa with us. He's originally from Egypt, but he decided to plunge into the journey, into the life of ADC and take this step towards betterment, of course. I welcome you, Dr. Ahmed, first of all. Thank you so much.
Hey, good morning. Good morning, Dr. Henna. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here. And on behalf of all the listeners and candidates, I just want to thank you because when I was a candidate, I wanted to hear from people who went through the journey, and I didn't have this opportunity. So thank you for the very creative idea to do these podcasts or videos to show people what the journey is like and what it looks like on the other side, I would say.
Yes, thank you so much for appreciating that. I call this, segment really the real success stories and not something which is, fake or not genuine, because this is coming straight from the heart. And everything we talk about today, like we've discussed, is going to be straight from the heart. So
Absolutely.
Please tell our viewers, first of all, a big congratulations. You have
Thank you.
become a new father, and
Thank you.
challenging, I know, which is why, but still you've agreed to do this. So
Yeah.
thank you so much again.
No, thank you for the opportunity. Yeah.
No, that's all good. So Ahmed, could you please tell our viewers a bit about yourself, where do you come from, and what made you get into ADC?
Sure. So my name is Ahmed. I graduated from Egypt in 2016 from one of the two top public universities in Egypt. Like when I graduated, I was just like everyone else. I was lost. I didn't. I wanted to do veneers courses, implants courses. I didn't know what I want to do, but I was, trying everything here and there. And I remember in 2016, we had this economic situation in Egypt where the currency was devalued by 50%, which means if you had like 100 Egyptian pounds, now they're worth 50 Egyptian pounds, which scared me, but I didn't have much money, so I didn't care. I was like, yeah, I'll just go on with life. And I honestly had a good life back in Egypt, thanks to my family's support and everything. So that was 2016. I was looking for a job. I found a job in a private hospital. They needed someone to do root canal cases. I wasn't the best one to do root canal cases, but anyway, so I decided to join a residency program in endodontics. And that's where my journey started. I was starting to specialize in endodontics back then. I didn't really think much about the ADC, but I thought that I want a plan B because I saw how the economy hit this devaluation thing. I saw people who were older than me, maybe worked for 20 years and lost half their savings. So it was heartbreaking for them. And I didn't want the same to happen to me. And my fiance back then, she's a dentist. She's my wife now. She was a dentist as well. And we wanted to get married and, start life and start a family and so on. So I wanted a more stable life. So I always had a plan B in mind. Now, in regards to my plan B, when I first graduated, I was looking in Germany. I was looking in USA, UK. I actually took German courses. I reached level C1, which is C1, which is what you really needed to go to Germany. But I didn't proceed because you needed to stay in Germany for 2 years. Like from past people experience, you need to stay there for 2 years, do more exams in Germany and in German, dental exams in German, which I thought maybe I wouldn't be able to do it as good as in English. I thought about UK, and again, I heard that just booking for the exam is very difficult to find a spot on the exam. You just like it takes a few seconds and it's fully booked. I think about USA. I heard from people it's expensive. You have to do like 2 years residency program, which costed like 240,000 American dollars. I didn't have this amount of money. So to me, Australia seemed like the best option out of all of them. I didn't know much about Australia. But anyway, so this was my plan B. I went on with my life in Egypt. I did the residency program. I was specializing in endodontics. I was starting to getting referred more endodontic cases. So this was until 2018. So I graduated 2016. 2 years later, I got in contact with one of the mentors, ADC mentors back then. I got to know him through Facebook, talked to him online and so on. Like I liked what he told me. Like it seemed to me like a very convenient plan because I don't have to lose my job in Egypt. I don't have to lose my specialization program and so on. I can just do the exams and go back to Egypt and go on with my life. If I pass, then it's happy days for everyone. If I don't pass, I still have my life back in Egypt, which was good, honestly. I was just scared of the economic situation. I wasn't living in poverty or anything. So I went 2019. I did March 2019. I did part one exam. I passed from the first shot, and I was relatively like a relatively new grad. I still had the information fresh, which made it not so difficult. I think like the longer it takes for you to do part one after graduation, the more difficult it gets because you tend to forget some stuff. But I was
Yeah,
yeah
I agree with you, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but
yeah
I
yeah
will talk to this, talk to you about this very interesting thing that you said, that
yeah
ADC was your plan B.
yeah
Most of the calls, most of the inquiries that I get from candidates, whether they're young graduates or seasoned
mhm,
practitioners, doesn't matter. But for most of them, ADC is always plan A.
yeah
And then they have a plan B, like maybe their jobs back in their countries, or
yeah
maybe their, some other courses that they pick up in Australia just to,
mhm,
get a visa and stuff like that. But that the very thought that ADC is going to be plan B, I still have my,
yeah
that's very interesting. So how is it like, getting used to the fact that I may or may not may or may not settle down in Australia? It wasn't the end of the world for you. That is such an amazing thing because people think it's either ADC or nothing at all.
yeah yeah.
What were your thoughts at that point of time?
Well, it's not because I was so good in Egypt. It's just because I was too scared. Like I know some people who are very brave. They will go to USA, they will lose everything behind, they will leave their job, they will pay a lot of money, and they make it. Some people make it, but I just wasn't brave enough. I still wanted to keep my job. That's basically it. Not because I was some hero or because I was so good. It's just because I didn't want to lose everything. And
Yeah.
as I said, I got married in 2020, so I needed to have a job. I needed to go on with life. I couldn't give up everything and focus on just the exam. So I still needed to have a good career back in my home country. That's why. That's honestly why um,
You
ADC was
made
my
that
plan
choice.
B. Yeah, that's why I made this choice, honestly.
Yeah, this is so amazing because let me tell you that many people are just too, very scared to show their vulnerable side, and they're
Mhm.
just out there. Oh no, this is the only thing we've got to do. No, what you did was very smart,
Mhm.
and many people sail in the same boat. So if there's anyone listening and who's still thinking about it, this is the way to think about life as well. If
Yeah,
not this, then something else. Something is surely going to work out.
yeah.
So, all right. So you were talking about your ADC part one, and then what were the yes, you approached somebody, and then you started your preparations. Were you continuing to work back in Egypt at that point of time? What was your journey with just the written examination?
So with the written exam, I was working. So I would go to work. Yeah, actually, back in Egypt, we worked at night in the afternoon up till maybe 10 p.m. So I
Wow.
would study. Yeah, I would study. I think many countries like would have the same situation. Like especially when high populated countries, you would maybe start work at 3 p.m., finish at 10 or 11 p.m. So I would study in the morning, wake up in the morning, do some studying, go to work, and so on. Now, my wife was my fiance back then. She was good support. Like having someone, this is actually something very important for all the candidates as well. Having someone along the journey with you would give you some motivation because you have to be consistent every day. You have every day to give it some time because if you don't, it's not going to work out. Like, yeah, you can't just patch it up before the exam, unfortunately. You would have to, yeah,
Another important thing for everyone to know, consistency is the key.
yeah,
We cannot, because people often ask me, since I've been in this process for 15 years now, are 3 months enough? I have just started studying. And yes, it may work for somebody who's really brilliant and somebody who has all the luck in their favor, but
hmm,
it doesn't work for most of us. So, and I
that's
fall
right.
into that category as well. I'm not afraid
Hmm,
to say so. So
yeah.
you're right. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's basically just like going to the gym. You can't grow the muscle immediately. It will take some time to lift the weights and so on. So anyway, I passed the part one in 2019, and my mentor back then recommended a certain part two course in Australia, which costed me so much money. I went to Australia, did the course, and that's when things changed a lot. So before this point, Australia was my plan B, but when I arrived in Australia, I was like, wow, life is different here. I'm missing out on a lot. Like I'll be honest with you, I haven't lived my entire life in Egypt. I used to live in Dubai during my school years. I lived in Qatar for some time, so I moved around to different countries. I didn't just live in Egypt, but it's still different. Like Australia is different, nature is different, the people are different, the lifestyle is different, and
Absolutely.
that's when I thought like maybe this will have to be somewhat my plan A. Maybe I should change my mindset. So
Hmm.
anyway, before I went to Australia in 2019 for that course, I applied to two master's programs because I still wanted to be an endodontist back in Egypt.
Hmm.
I still hadn't seen Australia. Then I went to Australia in 2019, did the course, and then I got two emails that I got accepted from both master's programs in Egypt. And I was really torn. I was like, now everything is happening. All my dreams are coming true all at once, and I should make a choice. But again, this was just a part two course. I didn't pass the exam, so I wasn't still sure. Like it wasn't in my hand. And you know they say that like a bird in a hand is better than two in the bush.
Yes.
I didn't want to lose everything. So
Hmm.
anyway, I did the part two course in Australia. What I witnessed in Australia was life changing to me or eye opening to me. Like I got to know different friendly people I met. Like for example, the cleaner of the building I was staying in the Airbnb, for example, he seemed like a very chill guy. He was happy. He had a car. He seemed to have a good life. And this was shocking to me because this is not how it is back in my home country. Usually, a lot of people, unfortunately, who are very hard workers back in Egypt, do not get paid well and they don't even have a car. But when I went to Australia, I found that people can have a good life without being a doctor or an engineer. You can still have a good life. So that was eye-opening to me. Even the people on the street, people are happy, people are greeting you, everyone is saying good morning, good afternoon, and so on. So everyone is very friendly. Nature is beautiful. Like I went around, I went to Blue Mountains, for example. It's a certain nature place in Sydney. So anyway, that was then. I finished the part two course, and I'll be honest with you. Again, this was just 2019. I was still like relatively a fresh graduate,
Hmm.
so I didn't have a problem with the Toffler matrix band. I knew that I have to bleed the temporary crown material before
Yeah.
I put it in. So I had these things fresh in mind. But again, just doing the part two course wasn't enough for me to become better at passing the part two exam. I think what worked for me was more practice at home. So this is just an advice for anyone listening to this: is you can't just take a course and pass the exam. I heard that some people did that, just went for a course and went to the exam afterwards and they passed. Maybe some people are brilliant, but for the average person like myself, you still need some practice time. So anyway, came back from Australia. I accepted the master's program. I enrolled for the master's program because I still wasn't sure if I was gonna pass part two or not.
So at this
But
point of time, your plan B had changed to
yeah,
plan A, and
now it's different.
yeah, now it's different. Australia hit you
Yeah,
differently at
totally.
completely
I fell in love. Yeah,
yeah, I agree. The feeling is really mutual, Ahmed, because really the place, the people, and everything make you fall in love with them. And
yeah,
especially in India, it's the same, the kind of, structure we have, whether it's the working class or,
mm,
the ones which are not
yeah,
so paid well. And
yeah,
even dentists, I mean, there's no shame in saying that new grads are paid like
yeah.
nothing at all over there. So this hit really differently. So yeah, part two journey. What was that all? I mean, what was the home setup and setting up everything? Because like you said, for an average person and even for the most brilliant ones, I wouldn't say be overconfident in this
Mm,
journey that because he or she has done it, I'll be able to do it as well.
mm,
You've got to understand your own self, your own weaknesses and strengths as well. So, your journey with your own practice, how did you motivate yourself? Because the first thing people hear is, that person cleared the exam in 4 attempts, this person cleared
yeah.
3 attempts, and what was that like?
Well, I'll be honest with you. It was scary to hear like stories from people who seem to be very good at what they do, and they still had to do the exam 2 or 3 times to pass. So it was scary, and maybe that's why it felt like a gamble to me. Like it didn't feel like a sure thing. But I still wanted to do it because, as I said, I fell in love with the country. So I still wanted to do it, but I didn't want to to risk everything for there. And as I said back then, it was 2019. So So I'll tell you how I did the setup and everything, but there was a big gap because I passed ADC part two in 2023, and there was like 4 or 5 years in between my part one and part two. And I'll tell you why this happened. I didn't have to repeat any exams or anything. So anyway, 2020 came, I got married, COVID hit, borders closed, and this was like, kissing goodbye to my Australian dream. This is not gonna happen. Then in 2021, I heard that the borders opened, but you had to pay like $3,000 to stay in quarantine in a hotel and so on. Again, I couldn't afford this much money to do it. So I gave up on the whole thing for maybe from 2020 until 2022. Now, 2022 came, I was doing my master's program, I was becoming a specialist in Egypt. My plan back then was I gave up on Australia. I'm going to go to maybe Dubai again because I used to live there. Maybe they have a very stable economy, good life. So this was my plan. Like, again, you have to be flexible, as you said. You can't just give up on life just because you didn't make it for the ADC. You have to have different, plans maybe. So this was 2022. Again, the same economic situation that happened in 2016 happened again. This time, I had saved some money. I had worked for maybe 4 years or 5 years. So again, my savings went 50% down. Now, this was heartbreaking because like I was young, I was 20 something. These were my prime years. I felt like I lost 50% of the past 4 years. So this was heartbreaking to me, and I just couldn't take it. I was like, no, I would have to do something about it. There's like, even though I had a very good apartment back in Egypt, I had 4 swimming pools around my apartment, I had a smart home, I had a good life back in Egypt, and my family is still alive and everything. But I felt like if this happens again, I'm gonna lose it. I can't keep on losing my savings. I'm not dynamic enough to cope with this. Some people have thicker skin, some people are smarter, some people can cope. I can't. So anyway, this was 2022. I was in the in master's program. 2023, I finished my master's program. Then my wife was like, "Oh, by the way, so from 2019 till 2023, ADC gave me extensions for my part one because you can't wait 4 years or 5 years until you take that part two. But ADC gave me 2 extensions because of the COVID situation. I just couldn't go to Australia. So by 2023. I was very rusty in terms of like the ADC stuff, but I had the dummy head from 2019. I had the teeth. I had a lot of stuff because I went to Australia, brought everything myself, but it was just left in my home in a wardrobe. I didn't use it for 4 years. So I finished my master's program. I was married then. My wife told me, let's put the setup at home and let's start doing it. So I thought like, yeah, why not? I just finished my master's program. I have plenty of time. Let's make use of it. If it doesn't work, I'll just go to Dubai with my master's degree and, happy days. We practiced together actually, because she cleared her part one in 2020. So we had our dummy head at home. We had the compressor. We had everything. We gave a name to our dummy head. So we were...
There's always a name. My dummy's name was John. I used to just John. And my 8-month-old, then my daughter was 8 months old, and I would say, see, this is John, this is unusual. Maybe your new brother or sister.
Did you take pictures with John?
Yeah, I
do. Yeah, you did. John. We took pictures with him, with ours as well. Ours was Mithat. It's an Egyptian name. But yeah, we took many pictures with him, and we kissed him when we passed the exam. So we have made So anyway, my wife and I booked the exam for August 2023. We went together. Luckily, we got the exam dates on the same exact days. So she was sitting right behind me in the practical exam. So anyway, we practiced, I think, for 4 or 5 months back in our home.
Yeah.
We didn't go to Australia again. Actually, my wife did. My wife went to Australia for a part 2 course, but I didn't because I couldn't afford it. So I just focused on practicing at home. And this is when I found that there is an improvement with my skills and everything because with the tasks, because no matter how many courses you go to, you still need to practice. So I just thought I will get the criteria. I'm going to practice. I went to the course, I don't know, 3-4 years ago. I'm still a dentist. I know how to put a matrix band. So maybe I'll just follow the criteria. And this is what I just did. And of course, I got some tips and help from my wife, who just went to the course back in 2023. So we did it together. Again, importance of having someone along the way to encourage you. We did it together. Same thing as part one. I would practice in the morning, go to work in the afternoon. Did it, I think, every day. I didn't take any public holidays away from my dummy head. Like when everyone went away, I would just stay with my dummy head. And this is actually when I had a breakthrough. Like, we had a public holiday for 2 weeks. It was a religious holiday, I think. These 2 weeks, everyone would go to the beach and so on. I stayed at home. I thought, I'm way behind. I have to do this now. I have to get better at my crown prep and so on. And I had a very good breakthrough during these 2 weeks. I was doing it as if it's a full-time job. I was doing like 6 or 8 hours on the dummy head. I was timing myself. I was trying to build my stamina, because it's important to have stamina in the part 2 exam, because it's a very long day in the part 2 exam. If you get tired quickly, you need to practice more to last the entire exam. So that's what I was trying to do. I was trying to sit on the dummy head for 6-8 hours, because I was trying to mimic the exam situation. So anyway, I practiced. We went to the exam in August 2023. I remember my first day, I was very shaky. My first day was the OSCEs. I was very shaky. I was very scared because of the stories I heard from other people. And like, the English I was taught back home in my country was either American English or British English. I didn't really have a lot of exposure to the Australian accent. Maybe when I went back in 2019, I had some exposure, but it's different. So I remember my very first examiner had an accent that was difficult for me to understand. So I was very, very shaky. I was very anxious. I didn't do very well on my first one, which was actually a good thing on my very first OSCE station, because after the very first one, I would like, look, I paid this much money, and seems like I'm not doing well on my first one. So maybe, I have nothing more to lose. I don't have to be anxious. Now I'm failing this exam. So maybe I will just, go for the full experience. I will do my best with the rest. But yeah, I didn't have much hope. And that's when things started to get better. I felt more confident, because I didn't feel like I'm going to lose much. I felt like I failed the exam anyway. So I don't care. I'm just going to go to the rest of the stations. I'm going to say what I have to say, what I can say. And, I'm going to be chill about it. And that's
amazing.
what actually helped.
Because honestly, Ahmed, there are people who come back from the exam and they have the same experience in the first station, if it's an OSCE, communication one, and they come back and they talk to us about how the first one changed everything. Because
Yeah.
if it went bad, they would just keep thinking about that one, and that would affect their performance in the other stations as well. But with you took it the other way around. And these are small little things that matter in the exam that can
Right.
make or break your results. So I'm so glad that you thought that way.
100%, because think about it this way: if you paid so much money, at least make use of it. Like, you're there already. Yeah, you're there, so just make use of it. And I actually talked recently to one of the ADC examiners who I came through by luck, and this is what he told me. He told me that he saw people who would give up in the skilled OSCE stations because they're running out of time, and he would just tell them, go on, you still have 2 minutes, try to do your best, you might still pass. You don't have to do it perfectly. You can just do it like a satisfactory pass. You don't have to be an outstanding, amazing pass. So that's how I went on with the exam. I was chill. By the end of the first day of the exam, I was feeling happy, because I thought I did very well in the rest of the 9 stations, or I can't remember how many they are. So I was going to the part 2, the technical tasks. I was confident, actually. Again, I was very happy. I did my filling, amazing amalgam filling, and so on, until I did my crown prep. I nicked the neighboring tooth, and it was one of the worst nicks I have ever done. I haven't done this to a patient before. I'm not sure. I was stressed. I don't know what was happening. I was tired. So anyway, I nicked the neighboring tooth, and I actually teared up this day. Like, at this moment, I was like, oh my God, I lost the whole thing again. Like, I was doing very well, and now I'm losing it again. So at this point, I was like, there's no way I'm passing. I probably failed the first station in my OSCEs, and now I'm failing this task. I don't think I'm going to make it. So I tried to calm myself down for 5 minutes, and I was again shaky. I thought, let's do it as if it's a patient. If I nicked a tooth in a patient, what am I going to do? Am I going to leave it there, or am I going to smoothen it with a Soflex disc? And that's what I did. I just smoothened it with a Soflex disc. And I knew it was still clear that, I nicked the tooth. They were going to see it, because I think I was doing tooth 2-1. It's a front tooth. Like, it was very clear that it's nicked. I just smoothened it with a Soflex disc, and I just hoped for the best. I remember I went home. So my wife also did her fair share of mistakes in the exam and so on. So we both were feeling very down. We thought, like, we wasted so much money. We wasted like a year's worth of savings. And I remember the next day, my wife we went to Queen Victoria Market in Melbourne, and she was like, "Let's get some souvenirs and stuff, to remember." Like we came to Australia, I was like, "No, I don't want to remember this experience again," because I knew I didn't have enough money to do it again. So it was very a very traumatizing experience to me. I was like, I don't want to remember this. I did very bad, and I don't want to remember this again. So anyway, I went back to my home country, to Egypt. I was just working as a specialist. I was doing my regular days until 3 weeks or 4 weeks later, we got the news that we both passed luckily from the first attempt. And this was like, again, light at the end of the tunnel.
This would have been such a moment, I'm sure, for both of
Yeah.
you to remember, because there are couples, and I've counseled maybe 100 of them, to say the least. There are couples who support each other, but there are also couples who do not support each other. And I'm not talking about dentist couples. I'm talking about people, either the wives who are into the journey and the husbands are supporting them financially, or the men who are into it, which is quite rare, and the women supporting them, but then it still happens. So if you're one of them, if you're listening to us, I think if you can support that mental and support to your partner at this stage during this very difficult examination, you both will remember it for the rest of your lives. This is the time when you really stand by each other. This is why you took those vows.
Yeah 100%. And actually, this is what, as I said, this is one of the most important things during the journey, whether to have both a good mentor and someone along the journey to give you validation that you're not alone. You're not you're not a bad dentist. You're not doing bad. You're doing well. Like everyone is going through the same thing. So I think this is very important to have throughout.
It truly is. So now here you are, both of you have cleared the exam, and now you're applying for jobs. So one of the most important questions, Ahmed, which people often ask me is, what's the job scenario like? And I tell them everything that I can. We don't guarantee, of course, from ADC aspirants that you will get jobs. But in my 15 years of teaching, I haven't come across anyone who said that I didn't land up with a job after clearing ADC. Could you talk to us about, what your journey has been in terms of finding a job, and then, from there onwards till now, how has it been, all the ups and downs and everything?
So I heard the same exactly as you said, that I was talking to people who went to Australia. I was like, are you sure I'm going to find a job, or am I just wasting my money on this journey and then I'll end up without a job? So the advice I got was, there's this group for dentists in Australia. This is you can get very good help from there if you search for jobs there. If you write a post there just saying I passed the exam and so on. And if you don't want to do that, you will find a lot of jobs on Seek. Now you might not find a job in Melbourne or Sydney, or a suitable job. Like you will there are openings in Melbourne and Sydney and the big cities, but you might not find one that suits you from day one in a big city. But you will find one in a regional town for sure, or in a rural town. And if you go and Seek now, if any one of our listeners just goes and Seek, they will find a lot of jobs. And Australia is a huge country. You have 5 states. So yeah, you will find.
Yes, I mean, jobs are available in plenty. Of course, there are markets, and there are, areas where there are more jobs available and areas where there are less jobs available. But there are, vacancies every now and then.
That's right. You will find vacancies. And now you might find a vacancy in a very small town, which you might think, oh, this is going to be bad life and so on. But I'll be honest with you. Now I live in a small town where the population is 6,000 people. So it's a very, very small town. You can go around the town in 30 minutes. And actually, we have everything here. We still have 3 supermarkets. We have pharmacies. Life is going well, I would say. Maybe if I need to buy a television, I will have to go out of town. But other than that, it's going well. Like, we're having good life. The air is clean. We have good, beautiful nature here. No traffic. People are nice. The clinic itself is well equipped. Yes. So you will still have a good life. You don't have to live in a big town. You can still live anywhere and have a good life.
And I think for beginners who are starting off, it's always better to start in a small town. Because let's face it, there are some repercussions or some complexities of starting off in a big city straight off. I may be wrong, but then that's how sometimes it can be. So even I have been practicing in a small town, and it's beautiful. As long as the clinic has everything that you need,
Yeah,
everything works well. Yeah. So,
I totally agree.
yeah. And how's, like the job finding and everything? How was that for you?
Well, it takes time. That's also another advice to people who are doing the job hunt now. You're not going to find your job on the first instance. It
Hmm.
took me, I think, 4 or 5 months to find an appropriate job. Like you will find a lot of vacancies. You will get accepted to a lot of vacancies from day one. But it's just like the employer is doing an interview for you and you're doing an interview for them. You have to make sure you're a good fit for each other.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a very good dentist, maybe they're a very good principal dentist, but you might not fit together.
Hmm.
So you have to talk with your potential employer for many instances, to see how this person is, to gauge how everything is going before you make a final decision.
Absolutely.
That's what I think. It takes some time. And again, you will go to Australia, you will start your first job. It might not be the best, like, or the most suitable job for you. And you will change the job again after maybe 6, 5 months. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It happens to everyone.
Yeah.
Like, I've been in Australia now for a year and a half, and this is my third workplace. I had beautiful principal dentists. I had amazing teams. I had all the support I needed, very good materials and equipment. But as I said, maybe you start working in a place where maybe you're not fitting in the place. Maybe you need to go to another
It's a
place.
Lego
Yeah,
puzzle at the end
yeah,
of the day. And now that you're a father, you would know about Legos. Very
yeah,
too early to talk about them, but you know something about them. I have to ask you this,
yeah.
Emma, because you're an overseas trained endodontist specialist, and
Mhm.
this is one query a lot of people ask me is, will I be able to practice my specialization? And there's a difference between practicing it and calling yourself a specialist in Australia. So, what is your take on that, and how do you deal with that situations? I mean, are you still doing a lot of root canals, and do you still call yourself an overseas? Like, how do you explain this to your patients?
Yeah, so that's a very good question, because it's a very important point to look at if you were a specialist back in your home country. Now, if you look on the APRA website, they're very serious about misrepresenting yourself as a specialist in Australia. So on my side, I make sure that I do not mention anything about me being a specialist overseas. The most I would mention, like if someone asks me, "Are you confident to do the root canal?" I would tell them, "Yeah, I got like 3 years of training experience overseas." But I wouldn't even mention it as a specialist. Why? Because in my opinion, patients are not going to remember everything when things go south. Like if someone decides, like if I do a root canal treatment and I tell my patient I'm a GP, I was a specialist back in Egypt, and the root canal fails and they do a complaint, they're not going to remember all of this. Maybe the last thing that they remembered was, "Oh, Ahmed is a specialist and he told me he's a specialist, and turns out I paid like $2,000 and he's not a specialist." So
True.
they might take it to APRA. So I think, to be on the safe side, just don't mention it. You will have a lot of patients. Now, in terms of what I am practicing at the moment, I used to work in a practice where I had a lot of colleagues. Some of them would refer root canal cases to me,
Yeah.
and I would try to make it clear to the patients that I have a lot of experience in root canal, but I'm not a specialist. And I had a good time there. I enjoyed doing the root canals. Now, where I'm working, I'm not getting any root canal referrals. I would say I'm doing one root canal case every 3 weeks, maybe. So I'm missing the root canals. I used to do 5 per day. Now I'm like back in Egypt. Now I'm doing one per 3 weeks. But again, it's interesting. Like you have to live with the reality that you're no longer a specialist. You can't. Yeah, you can't. Like you cannot be in denial for so long. You're not a specialist anymore. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm making peace with the fact. Like I'm not a specialist. I will have to be a good general practitioner, and it's
Isn't it
not
all
easy, by the way.
about? Yes, I completely agree with you, and I'm so glad that you've made peace with the fact
Yeah,
that you've got what you wanted at the end
yeah.
of the day, and you win some and you lose some, and maybe in the future, you are such a brilliant practitioner. I know you, Emma.
Thank you.
So in the future, maybe you will be doing some extra, courses just to get that, degree or qualification. But I know you have the skills and everything. So you've just got to make peace with your own self at
Yeah,
the end of the day.
yeah,
So.
because it's your choice in the first place. Like no one forced you to come here. So, and I will tell you another story of another dentist. I don't know him personally, but I heard of him. Again, he was an overseas root canal specialist. He markets himself around many clinics in a big city that he does difficult, complex root canal
Okay.
cases. He retrieves broken files. He's a very good overseas endodontist, but he's a GP in Australia. He's making good money I never heard that he had a complaint against him. He's doing it well. So some people can do it, but in my opinion, I wouldn't mention that I was a specialist. Some people like to do it and have their way to do it.
Yeah.
It's just not me.
Each his own.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes complete sense. Well, it's been such a wonderful time having this conversation with you, because honestly, it's been so heart to heart. There've been no filters. Let me tell everyone, this wasn't scripted. It never is. So everything that Dr. Ahmed said today has, are his real experiences. And I must congratulate your wife. I'm sorry I couldn't
Thank you.
but please tell her that all the wives associations huge amount of respect to her as well.
Yeah.
Have supported each other. What is your takeaway in the end, Dr. Ahmed, for all of the candidates, whether they are deciding to give this exam or they're halfway into this journey? What is your takeaway message, and what's your advice to them?
Well, as I said, my advice to them is find someone along with you to give you validation along the journey. And it can be a mentor, by the way. Also, you will have to be consistent with your practice. You cannot just patch it up right before the exam. I would believe in the way I did it is to keep another plan B in place. Like, don't lose your entire life over the exam. I have seen amazing dentists who didn't make it to the ADC. They're better dentists than I. So sometimes you're just unlucky. You don't have to feel bad about yourself for not passing the exam. Sometimes it happens. You're a very good dentist and you might just not make it. So you have to have a plan B, and you have to make peace with yourself whether you don't pass the exam. So you have to make peace with like the reality. And if you pass the exam, you will still have to make peace with the new reality you're going to be facing in Australia. Like, for example, wherever you go, there are going to be some cultural differences, some sensitive topics. I would say my advice to everyone, just avoid these topics. Even like sometimes you will have some patients who will try to talk some politics or some religion and so on. You just be neutral. Switch to another topic. There is no need to to go to sensitive topics with patients, with colleagues, or anything of that sort. So it's important to be flexible in the different culture, because it's going to be different for all of us, our overseas people. So I think this is very important. And if you had any special training overseas, I would say even try not to mention it a lot in front of your colleagues, because some people would feel jealous, or like they will feel like, why is this guy like talking so much about himself? So that's also another piece of advice. If you're not a specialist here, just don't mention it. There's no point in mentioning it.
That makes sense. Of course, whatever you have gone through, you're sharing that, and I really, really respect that. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed. It's been such a wonderful, 30 to 40 minutes that we've spent together. And I'm so glad that you could come today. Go back to your child now. Your wife and your child need you. But again, I have to say this. I hope we meet someday. And
yes, please.
Because we're in different towns currently. But I have learned a lot from you, even when I was,
same here.
together. But it's been amazing. Thank you so much, and see you soon.
Thank you so much, Dr. Henna, and have a lovely day. And good luck to all the candidates. And thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you.